Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're cracking open the user's guide to something that so many dog owners struggle with, reactivity and dogs that lack confidence. So is your dog reactive? Have you found yourself on the other end of the leash with a dog that's barking, lunging, or losing its mind? You know exactly how frustrating that is. It can feel really isolating as well. But here's the secret. It's not really about the leash. It has nothing to do with getting a different color or having more control. It's all about what's happening inside your dog's brain. So we're going to dive into the actual science today and see what's going on in there, because once you understand that, everything else will change. So let's start with the tale of two brains. Inside every dog's head, there's this constant push and pull, a tug of war between the emotional side and the logical side. Understanding this dynamic is the very first step to getting a handle on reactivity. And now we're going to meet the extremes. On one side, we have the amygdala. Here's your dog's emotional brain. It's ancient, it's all about survival, fight or flight, and it's responsible for those big feelings. It has a super frantic hair trigger alarm system. And then on the other side, you have the prefrontal cortex. That's the thinking brain. It's the part that handles logic, problem solving, and keeping those emotions in check. It's the calm, rational decision maker. And in a balanced brain, the prefrontal cortex is always kind of tapping the amygdala's shoulder, saying, chill out, calm down, we're good, it's fine. But here's the thing. In a reactive dog, that whole communication system just breaks down. When that reactive moment hits, the balance just gets totally thrown out of whack. The logical part, the prefrontal cortex, shuts down. It goes offline. And at the same time, the amygdala, that emotional alarm system, goes into overdrive. It gets really loud and it takes the driver's seat. So that the barking and lunging that you're seeing, it's not your dog being bad, it's a dog that's having a hard time because he's completely overwhelmed by emotion and because their thinking brain has checked out. But there is really good news. This is not a permanent state. We can literally change them. Our goal is to rewire that brain, and we can do it with a clear two-part strategy. It's pretty simple. We calm down the amygdala and we wake up the prefrontal cortex. So on to strategy number 1. Calm the amygdala. So first things first, we have to stop that little alarm system from going off all the time. It's all about turning down the volume on all of that fear and frustration. But how do we do that? Well, the most important thing is creating what we call the absence of bad things. That's what will finally allow the amygdala to relax and reset. This is the foundation. And it's not just about the big scary things like other dogs, it's about reducing everyday frustrations, like your dog getting super amped up when you prep their dinner or they go out the door. And of course, sleep. A tired brain is much more sensitive and a much more emotional brain. And that goes for us too. So for the next few weeks, I want you to think of yourself as a protector. Your one and only job is to prevent the situations that set your dog off. Now, this might sound kind of crazy, but it could mean ditching regular walks for a little while, if that's where the triggers are. The whole point is to create an environment where the amygdala can finally quieten down. It's not forever, and I promise it will be a great reset. So while you're doing that, we're calming the emotional brain. Now we move on to strategy number 2. We need to wake up the cortex. We've got to strengthen that logical problem-solving part of the brain, and there are 3 really great ways to boost the prefrontal cortex. We're going to talk about problem-solving games, building autonomy and agency, as well as practicing self-control in what we call disengagement. Well, we're going to break each of those down. So first up, problem-solving. This is so powerful because problem-solving is literally the opposite of reactivity. If you think about it, when your dog is trying to figure something out, like how to get the kibble out of a puzzle toy, they are using their prefrontal cortex. They are thinking, they are strategizing, but they are not reacting. And this is a skill we can build just like a muscle. A perfect example is the Kong progression. You want to start super easy. Just put some loose kibble in that falls right out. Then maybe you want to add some wet food that takes a little bit of licking, takes a bit longer. And then for an advanced challenge, you freeze it. You're gradually increasing the difficulty, but without causing frustration. And every time they solve it, it's like a rep at the gym for their logical brain. The second way to wake up that cortex is by building autonomy. What does that mean? It's your dog's understanding that they can make things happen, that their actions can influence the world and lead to a good outcome. They learn they're not just a passenger along for the ride, and there's this really fantastic saying from the horse world, are you a rider or a passenger? We want our dogs to be riders, to feel that they are in control and can make choices. So often reactive dogs feel like passengers. They just get taken and dragged along a scary world with no say in what happens. Of course they panic. So how do we build the rider mentality? You're going to love this. Fun, games-based training, trick training. It works just like a vending machine. Your dog does an action, he steps up onto a block, and a result happens, he gets a snack. That really simple little equation, I do this, that happens, is incredibly powerful. It builds the exact part of the brain responsible for making choices and feeling confident. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, teaching self-control. This is really the art of disengagement. It's about helping your dog learn that some things are just none of their business. You know that dog across the street, they just learn to let it go. And there are some amazing games that we can play that reward your dog for ignoring stuff and walking away from things. It's a fantastic way to build that muscle memory. So now we've gone through all the science, the emotional brain, the logical brain, the whole shebang. Now for the most important part, how do we actually put this into practice? Let's build your action plan 1% at a time. First up, the brain building worksheet. Let's start with the amygdala. I want you to think about this. What sets your dog off? What are the specific triggers and what are the daily frustrations? Write them down, and then for each one, just brainstorm one small thing that you can do to reduce it. Maybe it's walking at a super quiet time of day or scattering some food on the floor to prevent frustration at the door. Simple stuff. Next, let's flip on to the other side, waking up the cortex. Again, keep it small and manageable. How can you add 5 minutes with a food puzzle into your day? Or 2 minutes of fun training or playing one of those disengagement games? It's these small daily deposits that are going to build that strong, logical brain over time. And look, I really want you to hear this part. This is all about progress, not perfection. You're not going to solve this overnight, and that's okay. The goal is to be 1% better every day. It's those tiny, consistent steps that add up to completely rewire your dog's brain. The amazing thing is now that you understand the science behind what's happening, you have gone from being confused and frustrated by the problem to being empowered with the solution. You're not just reacting anymore either. So my question to you is, what's one small step that you can take today?